Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about this little guy. This is the CHOYONG Voyager G2 Smart Radio. Now as a kid, I grew up listening to the radio. I would even go to bed sneaking this tiny little radio under my pillow. This is what I would listen to Top 20 like every night at the same time. But man, I really wish I had a speaker like the Voyager G2. Mainly because of all the things it can do and how tiny it really is. But it can do so much more than what your normal speaker can do. Before we get into all that, let's go ahead and take a look at how small this thing is. It has an all plastic body that's like a shiny green. It does come in weighing only at 135 grams, so it pretty much weighs nothing. And it has this little 1.5-inch touchscreen. Basically looks like the screen on a smartwatch. In fact, in the manual, it even says swipe on the watch interface. So they even know that's what it looks like. Now, this is what you would mainly use to kind of navigate with the speaker. There are some physical buttons up top that has your power button, your volume up and down, and then your play and pause. And then there's also some buttons up front, like your home button, the forward and backwards button, and then the C button is actually the return. I don't know why it's labeled as C. And then as far as your ports, there is a USB-C port on the side to be able to charge the speaker. There is also a 3.5mm headphone jack, so you can plug in headphones or a larger speaker if you want to. And then on the bottom, there's even a SIM card slot to use this as a 4G connection, or you can just use the eSIM option that's also built into here. So I like the fact that you can just disconnect and use it without being tethered to your phone. Now, as far as the accessories, this is pretty simple. It comes with a USB-C cable to be able to charge it, and then it comes with a little lanyard. And this way, you can maybe even strap it to your wrist. You can attach it to a bag. That way, you can just kind of keep it with you on the go, and it just, again, does not take up much space at all. But now let's just go ahead and get into what this speaker can actually do. Well, it can be used as a traditional Bluetooth speaker because it does have Bluetooth 5.3. But if you want to connect it through Wi-Fi or use the 4G service, this is what allows you to have access to over, I think it's like 40,000 global internet radio stations. And then you can also find and listen to pretty much any podcast that you can think of. And there's even a chat GPT integrated into this speaker so that you can use your voice to search for any of that. So that's pretty convenient having that built into this little speaker. Another thing is I was able to save all kinds of stations from all over the world into here as favorites, along with some podcasts that I like to listen to, and it just kind of makes it easy to navigate straight to them whenever I want to listen to them. You can even go to CHOYONG's website, and there is a code within the speaker that links up to the website, and it makes it where you can go through all the stations and just add them as favorites that way. Now, as far as the sound, well, it has 5 watts of power, so don't expect to have your mind blown when it comes to the audio quality. It does sound good for what it is. But you really want to enjoy this thing at loud volume, you definitely want to make sure to plug in headphones or plug into that bigger speaker. But keep in mind, this thing is meant to be tiny, it's meant to be portable, and it's basically like that little radio I had stashed under my pillow when I was a kid. Now it says that there's a 1200 milliamp battery in here and it should last you about 5 hours. Now that's going to depend on the brightness that you keep the screen at, or if you plan on trying to bump this little 5-watt speaker to a loud volume. So 5 hours is decent, and this is still much better than the radio that I used to have that, you know, would require AA batteries. And it's nice you also can just recharge it using that USB-C cable. But to wrap up this video, the Voyager caught my attention first because of how little it was and the retro design that it had. And I was surprised at all it could do for something that was this small. Now, yeah, I wasn't blown away by the sound quality, but I did like the fact that I could just plug it into something else if I wanted it to be louder. And I also like the SIM card option because it just kind of allows me to disconnect from my phone. I could just put a card in here, go for a walk or go camping, and then be disconnected from everything else. Now, obviously this speaker's not gonna be for everyone, and most people do these things on their smartphones anyway. But again, it is nice to know that you can disconnect from your smartphone. And I like the G2 quite a bit, and I like that it just does everything that it says it can do. And that's why I wanted to share it on this channel. And I think the fact that it comes in at $79 makes this a very intriguing device. But guys, that wraps up my video on the CHOYONG Voyager G2 smart radio. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.